I saw it on TV and I wanted to do that, so I did it. So listen, today we're talking about how to avoid being traumatized in your everyday relationships. Think about it. I just wanted you to think about it. How do you avoid being traumatized in your everyday relationships? Well, the number one thing that you have to figure out is, do you even think that you're being traumatized in your everyday relationships? Because 9 times out of 10 you are. Especially if you're dealing with toxic and dysfunctional people. What's a toxic or a dysfunctional person? Somebody that's toxic or dysfunctional. So listen, so sometimes we say these things and we ask these questions and we make it very difficult to answer these questions, typically because we don't want to admit that it's 9 times, it's us. Yeah, you are the toxic and dysfunctional person. Or you're really, really sane, or you're really, really normal, and everybody else around you is dysfunctional, and you're sane. It doesn't ever normally work that way, by the way. So typically, toxic and dysfunctional people invite toxic and dysfunctional people. They usually gel very, very well. But what I'm here to do is to help you, A, recognize that you are toxic or dysfunctional, and B, avoid having that toxic and dysfunction in your everyday relationships. How do I recognize if I'm toxic or dysfunctional? So if you do stuff like, oh, I told him, or if you do something like, don't come for me, that right there, that is really an indication that you're probably toxic or dysfunctional. And it's cool, I'm not judging you, I'm just saying, it takes one to know one. I had to get my life together. Thank you. I've been redeemed, rejuvenated, healed, whole, all of that in between. So yeah, if you're negative all the time and you have a terrible mindset and you're down in the dumps sometimes, or you're always angry, or you hold resentment, or you could hold a grudge like nobody's business, I'm sorry, you're probably pretty toxic or dysfunctional. And it's cool. We just discovered that we're toxic and dysfunctional, so what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna get some help. Number one, you should really talk about that, okay? Because it's not normal for you to walk around and be that angry all the time. Sometimes, but not all the time. I'm just saying. So if it's 24 hours in a day, you should only be angry maybe 1 or 2. And you should have what I call a quick recovery time, which means what? Somebody pissed me off, they made me really mad, I vented about it, and then I got over it, and I moved on. Because guess what? You're in control of your day, you're in control of your life. So, does that help define it? Okay, if not, just email me or something about it. Text me, call me, you can find my information on social media. Right, so anyway, how to avoid having these toxic relationships. Set some boundaries. Realize if people are dysfunctional in your life, right? So if somebody calls you all the time and they're dragging and they're gossiping and they're lying and they're talking bad, and when you get off the phone with them, you're like, oh, I feel so bad. I need to take a bath. Or when they call your phone and you're like, oh, they're calling me again. Probably they're a dysfunctional person, or they're really toxic, or they're what we call a bing drainer. Does anybody know what a drainer is? It's probably the person that you were looking on the phone when they called and you're like, they're calling again. So yeah, those people. Set boundaries. Recognize and realize that they are dysfunctional. Don't judge them. Don't shame them. Bring it to their awareness. See if anything changes. Sometimes we have relationships and we're actually supposed to elevate and help people. People just don't really want to listen. That's cool if they don't. So another thing that you can do, realize your triggers. Realize what makes me go off. What makes me angry? What makes me be like, no you didn't. That's probably something that you want to kind of figure out. You know the best way to not be traumatized in your everyday relationships? Don't hang with dysfunctional and toxic people. I mean, I can give you a bunch of tips all day long and you can implement them, but toxic people and dysfunctional people, they don't really care. Why? Because they're toxic and they're dysfunctional. So I'm saying that once you set your boundaries and you realize your triggers and you talk to them about it and they don't listen or they don't do any of that, guess what you should do? We grew apart. It's really not you, it's me. I grew, I changed. I don't want to be toxic anymore. I don't want to be dysfunctional. This is all I'm saying you gotta do. It's really simple. Boop, I gotta call you back. It's a start. And I know that sometimes that sucks. And what happens when you're the toxic person? Did you think about that? That's a whole nother segment. I'm just saying. So yeah, you really want to avoid having some trauma in your everyday life and just get rid of the people that are toxic. thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to share and to like and to give me your feedback and all that other fun stuff that you're supposed to do when people have YouTube channels. Just remember, if you write me nasty letters, I'm not going to read it anyway. Thanks so much, guys. See you on the next episode.